It's not 5.
Okay. We'll call the Holiday Island City Planning Commission meeting of October 19th, 2021 to order. Let's start out with a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lynn, will you do the roll call?
Chairman Keys.
Here.
Vice Chairman Pittman.
Here.
Commissioner Elwood.
Here.
Commissioner Graves.
Here.
Commissioner Mills.
Here.
Secretary Dumas. Here. All here.
All right, we'll declare a quorum. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda?
We approve the agenda as submitted.
Ken made a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
There is seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Agenda is approved. We have minutes of the September 21st meeting to approve. Any comments for minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes, September 21.
Ken made a motion to approve September 21st meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. We have no reports, no standing committee reports, no special committee reports, no old business, so we can go on to consider resolution R21-010, establishing the Holiday Island Master Street Plan. Lynn, do you want to read
I'll read that.
the resolution?
The resolution establishing the Holiday Island Master Street Plan. Whereas the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, HICPC, shall have the duty and function of promoting public interest in and understanding of the long-term coordinated municipal planning, and whereas pursuant to ACA 1456-412, Section D, Sub 1, the HICPC has determined that it shall define a master street plan for the city of Holiday Island. And whereas pursuant to ACA 1456-414, Section D, the HICPC may prepare and adopt a master street plan which shall designate the general location, characteristics, and functions of streets and highways. And whereas said roads and streets are visually depicted on the attached map entitled Holiday Island Road and Street Map, which is adopted herewith and made a part hereof, and whereas HICPC recommends the adoption of the attached ordinance by the City Council of Holiday Island. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, Carroll County, Arkansas, the HICPC designates the following master street plan. A, located all within the municipal limits of Holiday Island, Carroll County, Arkansas, and more particularly described as follows. B, the definition of a road or street. For the purpose of this resolution, ordinance, and attached map, the words street or road shall mean all roadways, public and private, open for general public travel. Access drives to apartment and commercial complexes shall not be considered as private streets. C, an official map. The Holiday Island Road and Street Map shall identify all named road and street names and their relative locations. Designations of main and primary routes shall be identified. D, street or road names on preliminary plat. Street or road names shall be shown on the preliminary plat. The street names shown on the final plat shall be consistent with those shown on the preliminary plat. Updating, Section E, updating. The official road and street map shall be updated by the HICPC and recommended for City Council adoption upon final plat approval of any plat, large-scale development, or planned unit development. Section F, characteristics. Roads hard surfaced with chip and seal or asphalt shall be of a thickness deemed necessary for the characteristics of the substrate of width suited to the road base width as originally constructed. Concrete paving of streets shall include curbs. New roads or streets shall have a driving surface of no less than 18 feet wide. Section G, function and use. Roads and streets shall be open for general public travel. Long-term or regularly frequent parking of vehicles, trailers, equipment, or materials on the roads and streets is prohibited. Passed and approved by the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, Holiday Island, Arkansas, on this day of 2021. Today is the 19th. I have a couple of originals here, or you have prepared them?
I have just one here.
Okay.
So we can use yours as the
All right.
original. All right, is there any discussion on the master street plan?
I had one question.
Mm-hmm.
On paragraph G, it says it's prohibited. Do we have a penalty for that, or?
No, there won't be any penalties in the master plan. That'll be something we'll have to put in an ordinance to control that.
Yeah, streets and roads, when we get to that section of the municipal code, there's a whole titles. I don't remember which number it is, but there's a whole section of the municipal code on streets and roads.
I was going to ask that same question basically too, because if we adopt any ordinance and regulation of Airbnbs, I think parking on the street needs to be a big consideration.
As far as a plan for the city of Holiday Island, the plan is to prohibit it. So that's why it's stated here that way.
Okay,
That
good,
we plan on it to be prohibited.
good.
And the basic reason is the streets aren't wide enough and we have no curb and gutter or anything, so it would constitute a safety hazard to have anybody parking on the streets. All right, you've all seen the copies of the maps. There's one combined map that will be the master, but then there's different layers of the map that make it easier to see certain things like the primary roads and the secondary roads and stuff like that.
And it looks like all of those. Had no question.
It's basically what's already here. We have no additional streets or roads planned at this time. If we ever get to that point, they'll be added to the master street plan.
And I guess for information, the snow route that I had notified, or the primary route for that, I got all that information from Kenny DeHart. I just took what he had on his list, his priorities, and I made those on the map.
So it's hard to tell with the small copy.
Right.
Are feeder collectors in what color? The orange?
The blue.
Blue,
And there's
blue.
only one, and it's the Valley.
Valley?
It connects both ends to state line and to
Oh, Wild Turkey,
right.
yeah, okay. And main or primary is in what, dark red,
Dark purple.
dark purple? Okay. And snow routes,
It's in the red dashes.
red dashes, okay.
Snow routes are white.
Okay,
I had sent an email with those different images,
I'm sure if you looked at it with a PDF online, it'd come up.
and I sent those to you. I can send them to you
I'm
again.
sure I saw it too.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's so small that in printed form, it's practically worthless. So yes, if we post the PDFs on file, people can enlarge them and see what they need to see.
My intent, once this is passed, is to post all versions on our maps page, on our documents for the planning commission, so that we
Good
can
deal.
open them up individually.
Okay.
Okay,
Any other discussion?
Are these things gonna be on our regular city, or is it, are we at a separate website?
No, it'll be on the city website, under the city planning commission tab, under documents.
There's already stuff there.
Mhm.
Some stuff.
I make a motion, we approve resolution R 21-010.
Point of order, should we allow the public comment before we take a vote?
We can. Anybody, public comments?
Any public comments out there in Zoom land?
Keep reminding me.
Okay,
Don't forget it every time.
there's no chat and nobody raised their hand. So
Okay.
Anybody waiting to join?
nobody's waiting to join.
Okay.
Nobody jumping on the ballot.
His iPad doesn't want to say anything.
You want me to make the move?
It's
I need
been,
to make a motion.
Make a motion, we, approve resolution R 21010.
We have a motion to approve resolution HICPC R 21-010. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, do we roll call vote and,
yes.
We
okay.
do.
Chairman Keys,
Yes.
Commissioner Elwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Graves,
Yes,
Commissioner Mills,
Aye.
Commissioner Pittman, Commissioner Dumas, aye.
All right, resolution passes. Next on the agenda is to consider resolution R 21-011, establishing the Holiday Island land use plan. Lynn, would you read the resolution?
Resolution establishing a Holiday Island land use plan, whereas the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, HICPC, shall have the duty and function of promoting public interest in and understanding of the long-term coordinated municipal planning, and whereas pursuant to ACA 1456-412, Section D, Sub 2, has determined that it shall define a land use plan for the city of Holiday Island. And whereas pursuant to ACA 1456-414, Section 1, the HICPC may prepare and adopt a land use plan which may include the reservation of open spaces, the preservation of natural and historic features, sites, and monuments, existing uses to be retained without change, the existing uses proposed for change, and the areas proposed for new development. And whereas said plan entitled City of Holiday Island Land Use Plan, which is adopted herewith and made a part hereof, and whereas HICPC recommends the adoption of Ordinance 2021-12 by the City Council of Holiday Island. Now therefore be it resolved by the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, Carroll County, Arkansas, the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas Land Use Plan be adopted. Passed and approved by the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, Holiday Island, Arkansas, on this day of 2021. Page 2 is the plan. It's entitled City of Holiday Island Land Use Plan. An introduction. The Holiday Island City Council adopted this planning area map by Ordinance 2021-10 on September 21st, 2021, that defined the territory for which the City of Holiday Island will develop and adopt land use zoning ordinances and regulations. This land use plan is the first to be developed for the City of Holiday Island. The Arkansas Statute 1456, 412, and 414 require that a land use plan be adopted before land use zoning ordinances and regulations are adopted. To date, the City of Holiday Island owns no land or facilities to be identified as its open spaces, no recognized natural or historical features, sites, and monuments, no sites or facilities that may have charges. That should say changes. Changes for use attached, no sites or facilities proposed for change, and no plans to propose for new developments. The primary tasks before the newly created City Council and City Planning Commission are to establish the basics needed to ensure that property owners and builders are able to carry out their plans in a seamless manner as the developer of the district moves to dismantle its planning commission. For approximately 50 years, the suburban Holiday Island, The Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District lands and facilities have been managed by its Board of Commissioners and District Manager. The properties within the Suburban Improvement District have been defined by a system of unit block lot designations. It is the intent of the City of Holiday Island that the existing lot and parcel designations be adopted for continuity of identification. Most residential and commercial property in Holiday Island are covered by a declaration of reservations, commonly referred to as covenants, that are unique to the unit in which the property lies. Although these covenants are legal agreements between the property owners and not binding on the city, it is the intent of the Holiday Island City Council to preserve the current declaration of reservations to the limits of the law placed upon municipalities in Arkansas. The City of Holiday Island intends to develop and adopt ordinances and regulations to support the current declaration of reservations to the limits of the Arkansas statutes. It is the intent of the Holiday Island City Planning Commission and the Holiday Island City Council to fully develop this plan over time. There's a section called Reservation of Open Spaces. It states no spaces owned or controlled by the City of Holiday Island for which it can reserve. Preservation of natural and historical feature sites and monuments. No natural and historic feature sites and monuments within the City of Holiday Island for which it can preserve. Existing uses to be retained without change.
Uh-oh, hold on.
City of Holiday Island, 19th, I think, of October. 18th of October.
Oops.
She started, she was testing the recording.
Hold on.
Accidentally.
If I can find how to turn it off.
Find it at the bottom.
Call a recess for a minute.
Yeah,
I
we
find
will
this.
be in recess until the recording of the last meeting
I think I found it.
I have a question.
is killed.
I think it's this one running right here.
I looked at that. Okay. You think it's here?
Yeah, I think so. I hit the.
Here.
Mm.
That sounds here.
It's last night's meeting, yesterday's meeting.
It's a recording that's playing.
Where the hell do I find it?
Oh, here. No, that's Zoom.
I thought I was playing it in photos, but,
Yeah, cancel that.
oh, that did it. Okay, that got it. I had that running to do an export of it, and it finished while we were in the meeting. Sorry about that.
For those of you out in Zoom land, we apologize for the technical difficulty there. We were testing our audio earlier with a recording of yesterday's meeting, and
It
Inadvertently restarted.
inadvertently started, yes.
yeah, it was such a good recording that we thought we'd play it again.
And just for the note, I forgot to start my audio only, so we'll have the audio coming from the Zoom for today's meeting.
That's good. Right.
Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this title. It says existing uses to be retained without change. I had charge. No sites or facilities controlled by the City of Holiday Island. Existing uses proposed for change. No sites or facilities proposed for change. In areas proposed for new development, there are no plans to propose for new development. Then there's 3 lines below to sign by the mayor, the chair of the planning commission, and the recorder treasurer.
Let me just point out that, maybe something that everybody already knows. There's a lot of work to do on this land use plan going forward. We're rushing it through so that we had the basis established to be able to pass the ordinance adopting the zoning that's integral to the unit covenants, so that we can start issuing building permits and things like that in the relatively near future. So this is a kind of a shortcutted process at this time, but it checks all the boxes that we need to check, at least for now.
There are some parcels, aren't they, that haven't been developed, that haven't been platted or anything, that could become platted in the future, and we could specify some land use zoning or whatever for those, right?
Yes.
I believe we can.
And when we get to the city council meeting and you read the actual ordinance that's adopting the zoning and the covenants, there's gonna be a paragraph in the ordinance that says for unzoned and unplotted parcels, the planning commission will make some determination. I
Yeah,
don't
we
remember
that-
exactly how I worded it, but,
That's in something I read already.
yeah,
Yes.
it's in the ordinance.
Uh,
Basically, what we're gonna probably, the planning commission will look at zoning it to be something compatible with the surrounding areas.
when it says no natural historic feature site, then they have to be on city property, be inclusive, right? Because we got the whole thing. They got that old graveyard down there, and
I did some research on that, and I couldn't find any guidance in the statutes, whether it was on city property or not, but this is,
I think
it's
it's
about
on-
land use within our city.
we don't have it the same.
They do have those pavers at the country club with deceased cars.
Well, you also got that big rock down there by, what's a creek, Haddock Creek, which is kind of.
I mean, I think the answer to your question is, it does not have to be on city property, because, we could pass an ordinance that says that, if we had a historic building downtown, we could pass an ordinance that says you can't tear down the historic building.
Well, I just,
Nothing,
you don't like that big black rock that's there.
yeah.
That's probably on HICID owned.
Well, it doesn't
Land.
say there's any difference. It's still a historical feature.
The only thing is, you gotta be real careful with that, the law that Arkansas just passed that says that they passed the law so that you couldn't take down Confederate statues, but in essence, you can't do anything with anything historical anymore. You can't even, if there's been a flag flying in the corner, by the post office forever, you can't take it down without running it past the state historical society or
Well,
something
it has
like
to be
that.
registered with the state.
They just recently,
Historical society.
I think Fort Smith just recently took down a flag stand, a flag display that was, for all practical purposes, abandoned, and nobody was maintaining it, and they made them put it back up. So, any other discussion on
Yeah,
this resolution?
okay, so about this sentence, under preservation of natural and historical features, sites and monuments, it says no natural and historic features, sites and monuments within the city of Holiday Island for which it can preserve. You could say that rock is something that could be preserved. You
Well-
could say the barn is something that could be preserved.
In the rec center, in the sign out front.
Yeah.
But the question that I had when I was doing the research, what makes it historic?
The barn was in 1933,
I understand.
Like,
38,
like I said a minute ago, this document needs a lot of work.
yeah.
And we're saying that at this point, we haven't identified anything to preserve.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that next week, we can't pass another resolution adding the barn and.
That's what I wanted to hear.
For that matter, the hanging oak tree over Bandy could be natural, it can't be cut down,
Right.
because someone wants to widen the road. There's all kinds of, we have to do the research.
Yeah,
The center median at the entrance to Holiday Island.
Exactly.
Okay. I just wanted,
in this particular case, we're just getting a little bit too deep into the subject, but.
Yeah.
Is this required? This is not a separate ordinance.
This plan is part of the resolution 21-11. The ordinance is not
ordinance will
attached.
be at the next meeting.
I got you.
All right. Is there any other discussion on this resolution? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve it with the changes in 3 places that I noted while I was reading it. The third paragraph on the introduction, third line says charges, that may be changes. The next was in the paragraph that starts with, for approximately 50 years, I need to insert the word island between holiday and suburban. And on the last page, retained without change in the existing uses. There needs to be a change, not charge.
Okay, Lynn made a motion to approve resolution HICPC R21-011 with changes as noted.
I'll second with changes.
Pat seconded it with the changes. Any further discussion? Any public comment?
Anyone want to comment out there in the Zoom, people? Raise your hand or put it in chat.
Hearing none, we'll
It's okay.
move to,
Call the roll.
we'll move to roll call vote.
Chairman Keys,
Yes?
Commissioner Elwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Graves,
Yes.
Commissioner Mills,
Aye.
Commissioner Pittman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dumas, yes.
The resolution passes. That's all the new business we had on the agenda. Public comments, 3 minutes time limit. Any public comments?
Raise your hand. I see none.
Moving on, commissioner comments?
Thank you, Lynn.
Hey, one question. Is this the last of all the required things we have to do before we can get into ordinance, et cetera?
We have to do a zoning
We have to
thing or
have a
something.
zoning.
We have to have,
Zoning will be taken care of in the city meeting, in the next meeting.
it's the
We have
last,
an ordinance.
it's the last required activity before ordinances for zoning.
That was my question.
On the
But that
agenda for
happens in
the
a
city
council.
council meeting,
That happens in a council
we
meeting.
have,
We can
ordinance
suggest them as well.
2021-013, declaring an emergency and adopting temporary zoning ordinances.
Okay, he's not gonna come out of the planning commission.
No. We took the action in the planning commission to approve the area, the land use plan.
Okay.
That was required before we do anything with zoning. Now, the planning commission has approved that, the city council has to approve an ordinance to adopt that plan.
That's on the agenda also.
Okay.
Any other comments? Next regular meeting,
That what we said yesterday?
Yes, November
planning
9th.
commission, yep, November 9th,
3 o'clock.
yep.
No, yes, you're right, yes.
Yeah, because we'll have a budget workshop before that. All right, motion to adjourn,
I'll move that we adjourn.
then the move to adjourn,
Second.
Jerry second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, we're adjourned.
We're just going to pause the recording and open it back up at 6 o'clock, okay? Just want everyone on Zoom to know, I'm just putting you on pause.
You gonna shut off the recording?
Yeah, I'm going to stop. No, I'm just going to pause it, and then we'll continue recording when we reopen the meeting.
And then when we,
There we go. Okay.
all right, we'll call the city council meeting to order, our regular meeting of October 19th, 2021. We will do the pledge again since we have a new audience on Zoom. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Wes, you want to do the roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Dumas.
Here.
Councilmember Elwood.
Here.
Councilmember Graves.
Here?
Councilmember Mills.
Here.
Councilmember Pittman.
Here.
All present, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll declare a quorum. On the agenda, I'm gonna add one thing, understanding committees, because we don't have any other place to put it. Wes does have the financial statements, and he can make some comments on that. So with that addition, are there any other questions on the agenda? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ken made the motion to approve the agenda, Jerry seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We have minutes from the August 17th meeting and the September 21st meeting to approve. The minutes have been distributed. Are there any questions on the minutes?
Actually, we had approved August 17th, last meeting.
We did.
What do you got votes on?
Okay. I'll put us back in here to approve at this meeting. All right, we only have to approve September 21st then. Move to approve.
Second.
Jerry moved to approve the minutes. Lynn seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any ceremonials, recognitions, proclamations, or in memoriam? Hearing none. There aren't any from the audience on the,
Don't see any hands raised or any chat.
okay. Then we'll move on to reports. Wes, you wanna go over the financial statements? I guess the first comment I can make is that they are financial statements as generated by our new accounting software.
Right, did he send this to us?
Pardon?
Did you distribute these, Deborah?
I sent them out.
Today?
No,
Several days ago.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's the one I thought you had.
several days ago.
Probably on the.
In last Thursday.
Okay, I got it. I just didn't. I was doing something.
Come on, Wes. Pages are stuck together. And I get nervous.
You don't have to be nervous in front of us.
Well, I know, but it just happens. Okay, I go through you'll see, if you look at the financial statement for the general fund, shows we received $23,758 in September. We spent $7,787. So the revenue, the distributions to us were $15,971 in excess of expenditures, which left a ending balance in the general fund of $105,257. You'll note so far our revenue is about 2/3 of our annual budget. And we're 3/4 of the way through the year.
So we're lagging a little bit.
We're lagging a little, but not much, considering that we had no revenue other than contributions for the first 3 months. So I'm thinking we'll probably be up by the end of the year. We'll have 90% or so of what we budgeted for revenue in the general fund. The street fund, we received $15,961 in September, no expenditures. So there is a balance of $27,255 at the end of September. And the revenue there is a little more than half of what we would expect for the year. And actually, there's only 6 months revenue there. Again, because there was nothing in January, February, or March. There's a list of the checks that were written on the third sheet for the payments journal. And I'll point out that when you look back at our report for the general fund for the month, it shows expenditures of $7,787. For the checks, it shows $7,420, which is less than the expenditures shown in the report. And the reason is in the monthly financial statement, it shows, for instance, wages is gross, and it shows the payroll taxes is being paid, but it does not include those payroll taxes in the check register.
That makes sense.
Right.
So how are the payroll taxes paid if they're not paid with a check?
Electronically, you have to pay payroll taxes electronically, you can't pay it with a check.
So is there a payments journal for electronic transfers?
I have not seen one.
Okay.
It probably shows up somewhere.
Yeah. Is that done monthly?
But they haven't set it up as a report
Is that,
for me.
is that done monthly now, the payroll taxes?
I do, probably wouldn't have to. I do it monthly.
Well, it used to be quarterly when I did books.
Right. And no more than ours are. Not quarterly would probably be sufficient.
If it gets to be confusing in the future to anybody that follows it that close, could you do a journal entry to add it to the check register basically, and maybe
I don't know that I can, because this is all automatic. It's in the software, how it does it.
okay.
Could you just generate a separate form that just include that for just public?
In mind.
Yeah,
I
because
would think that somewhere there should be a record.
yeah. The title of the form is General Fund, and it says Payments Journal, then it's got the subheading General Fund Checking. So maybe there's a feature that could be turned on to include that other journal on this report.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Something to check on.
yeah,
They,
you discovered.
CSA set these reports all up.
Okay.
Okay.
Questions?
All right, we don't need to vote on approving that, but thank you, Wes.
I will mention it's not on the website yet, but will soon be.
Okay. Jerry, where we stand with broadband grant application?
Okay, got a pretty good report this time, as many have seen and participated in. We asked people to do a speed test to be recorded by the state to show gaps in internet coverage, and several people have done that. We also got some anecdotal emails from people that have encountered extreme difficulty getting internet service. Three I might mention. One gentleman, his house, Cox, said that they would run cable and internet to his house for $47,000.
You're kidding.
I'll run cable for
And another gentleman said that he was quoted, I think 15,000, and then another one, 10,000. and others that didn't say why, but they said, other than they didn't think Cox was reliable, so they've gone to other means of like a T-Mobile hotspot or Usenet or something like that. So anyway, shared those with Rodney Balance, and he says that those are very important comments that we can include in our grant applications, which he said will be completed probably by the end of next week. He's waiting. He's got part of the grant has to be a budget for implementation and what all. So he's waiting to get a figure from Carroll County about using their poles for lines, and as soon as he gets that, he can plug that in. And he's still waiting on letters from our mayor, Senator Ballinger, and Representative Rowe.
So you're waiting on me for letters?
Yes,
You're gonna write the letter and I'll sign it?
I can do that.
That'd be the most
All right.
expedient way to do it.
All right, I'll do that. So anyway, that's encouraging. And as Rodney explained last time, we're going after two grants. One that just does the engineering study that probably the one we're more likely to get, and then the other one would be an engineering study plus funding of the project. So anyway, it's coming together.
It's probably noteworthy. I don't remember the actual addresses of these people that were quoted these extreme amounts of money to run cable to their house, but they're not in remote areas of Holiday Island.
Well, one of them was Appaloosa.
Yeah, I could throw a rock from my deck and hit their house.
Yeah.
I can't get cable.
Wow.
47,000 was on Cochise,
Okay.
wherever that is. And there was one on, the other one was on Valley.
Yeah.
Well, Valley's not far.
No.
And they all have utilities. They are, they have electricity.
Okay.
So anyway, we might encourage people to go on our website. There's a link right on on the homepage. Linda put it up where you can do the speed test and then answer, I think there's 6 questions about your service. And,
Do a speed test at 8 o'clock in the morning when everybody's on Facebook and checking their emails and everything else.
I had an anecdote that I sent to him that there was nearly 800 interruptions in my internet service in a period of 1 month.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens to me every night when I'm trying to work. I'm trying to do something and it just stops. I have to wait till it reconnects. And it records how many minutes for each interruption and what the total was. If you recall, was it like 6 hours worth of downtime? Something like that over a month's time? But I had 798 disconnects in my internet connection.
Wow.
Never get this.
well, I have the last 2 nights during the middle of the night because my security system shows a communication failure, and it's happened the last 2 nights.
My weather station does the same thing. It says no internet, and then it says we're communicating again. So I get 2 emails every time it happens.
So how did you count the 798 interruptions? You have a
I
software
have a little white
running?
box attached to my internet that's watching the internet.
Oh.
It was sent to me by Cox.
That's
By a company called Sam Knows, KNOWS.
They call it their incriminating evidence box.
Cox encouraged me to participate in the program, so I volunteered.
wow. Well, that's
That's-
nice of
It's
them.
not good.
They only wanted 2,500 from us to run internet to our house, and I forgot to put that in that thing now. Is there a way to go back?
Just send him another email.
So do the
I think
test
when I
again,
tried-
probably you could.
I tried going back in, I think it told me that I'd already responded.
Just send him another email. Just type out an email and send it to him with that data, that
Yeah.
information.
We can put it in the grant application.
Or let your wife go ahead and do it. Excuse me, customer. Okay, Lynn, planning commission report is fresh in our mind.
The last meeting that we had about an hour ago, we passed a resolution approving a land use plan and a master street plan. Those are the last two required actions before we can start working on zoning. On my desk for homework is to work on that zoning. I have a copy of I have 5 different municipalities that I'm copying from and taking guidance from. And the one that is probably going to be used is about 50-some pages long that covers defining the terms and defining the zones and how they be administered and how the process works. So it's a big document to go through, and there's a lot of things in it that probably don't apply, but that's my next step to work with the larger zoning plan, to bring that for consideration.
Okay, very good, making progress. All right, under old business, we have ordinance 2021-007, establishing wards. It's the third reading. Let's see, I would, since this is the third reading, I would ask for a motion to suspend the rules to read the entire ordinance and read it by title only.
Make a motion, we read ordinance 2021-007 by title only.
I'll second that.
Ken made a motion to read ordinance number 2021-007 by title only. Linda seconded it. Do we need a roll? Yes, we need a roll call vote on that.
Okay. Councilmember Dumas.
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
Okay. Since this is short and sweet, I'll go ahead and read the ordinance by title only. Ordinance number 2021-007, an ordinance establishing wards for the city of Holiday Island, Arkansas. Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance? Jerry made a motion to approve the ordinance. Do I have a second?
I have a second. Ask for, you're going to ask for comments?
Any discussion?
Now we're done with this, and you have to file with the county, right?
We didn't vote on it yet, but yes.
I mean, that's what we're at.
Yeah, right.
That's for public comments.
Any public comments on the ordinance establishing wards?
Does anyone on Zoom have any comments?
Who was that to read the motion?
I don't see any chat. I don't see any hands raised.
Jerry made the motion, and Linda seconded it. Jerry made the motion.
No hands raised, no chat.
Okay. Then we'll move to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Dumas.
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
All right, the motion has passed. And yes, I talked to the county clerk last week. And she actually called me wondering where we were on this, kind of anticipating that we didn't know we needed to do it. And we surprised her by being ahead of the game. And so she was happy with that. I need to bring we need to sign the ordinance. I need to bring her a signed copy of the ordinance, a copy of the ward map, and a legal description of the ward map. And actually, the law says that we have to provide a digital version of the map provided by GIS, but she said she would call GIS and do that because they work together on overlaying maps and stuff like that for their, voting precincts and all that kind of stuff. So we're in good shape. We'll be ready for the next election.
Not quite.
Well, from a ward establishment standpoint.
Killjoy.
All right, next on the agenda is new business, opioid settlement participation forms. I'm not gonna distribute the forms or anything, but every city in Arkansas got, 2 sets of forms. They're virtually identical, with the exception of the company that they're negotiating the settlement with. But this is part of the kind of national and then boils down to the state settlement with the drug companies for overprescribing opioids and creating a major health crisis in the country. And there's, I don't know, billions of dollars at stake, and Arkansas will be getting their share. And these participation forms basically say that the city of Holiday Island agrees to be a party in the suit. And so that if there's a settlement, we'll get some money out of it. I don't know how it will be apportioned out. I did call Justin Eichmann because the forms that I have to sign say that I have read and understand the settlement agreement, which I have not, and I don't even have a copy of it. And if I can imagine it's this thick, and I wouldn't understand it if I was reading it. Justin is working on this for several other cities, and he said he would tell me when he understands it and has no problems with these forms, and then under his advice, we'll sign it and participate.
I believe when I was on the Muni League call where they were talking about this, that I asked the question, when would we be able to see the settlement? And the answer was, we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So someday soon.
The municipal league is basically, I don't want to say they're driving this, but they are definitely coordinating it, and they want 100% participation from all Arkansas cities if possible, because that level of interest will probably affect how much money everybody gets.
I gathered that a state might get money based on per capita of the cities participating in the settlement, who agree to participate in the settlement. Sounded that way.
I don't think this is a windfall that we're going to be able to use to fix water problems. I think it's going to have, we will probably get money, and we will have to use it for some sort of public education program or actual drug treatment programs or something like that. It's going to have to be used to help mitigate the actual crisis. But still,
Money's money.
money's money, and I'm sure that there's a need
The fire
here.
department who has those expensive, whatever they call them.
Yeah, they probably have those and need them.
That would be a good place for it.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. I thought I'd bring it up just so everybody knew that it was on the docket. All right, next on the agenda is consideration of ordinance 2021-011, declaring an emergency and adopting the master street plan. So does everyone have a copy of that ordinance? I'll have one copy. So, let's see, I would, let's see, how long is this ordinance? Ordinance is not that long.
1.5 pages in the map.
Yeah, so I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, declaring an emergency, and and then reading the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules, requiring 3 readings and declaring an emergency, and Lynn seconded it. Any discussion?
Just one question, does it have to have an emergency? Oh, it does have the emergency
Yeah.
clause in it.
Section 4.
Never mind.
Okay, no further discussion. I don't think we'll ask for public comments, just on the motion to suspend the rules, so, roll call
Councilmember Dumas,
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
vote. Okay, so we'll go ahead and read the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, do we need a motion to approve the emergency clause?
We just did.
That did that? Okay, all right, that's fine.
Oh, okay, so that was,
That was for the emergency clause.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Suspending 3 readings and
And-
declaring an emergency.
So
Okay.
it's both.
All
That satisfies
same
that,
thing.
okay, that's fine,
Okay.
thank you.
An ordinance establishing, ordinance 2021-011, you want me to read it, Wes, or you want?
I
me
don't
to?
care.
Okay,
I can read it.
or Lynn can
Like-
read it.
Want me to? Okay.
Go ahead, read it.
Ordinance number 2021-007.
No, 11.
No.
We're on 11.
Okay. Not 7.
We
Okay.
had the 3rd reading on 7 already.
Okay. Then I need to get back to 11. Okay, ordinance 2021-011. An ordinance establishing the City of Holiday Island Master Street Plan, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. Whereas Arkansas Municipal Planning Statutes, ACA 1456-401 and following require that planning commissions prepare a planning area map and description designating the area within the city's territorial jurisdiction for which they will make studies and prepare plans and recommended ordinances and regulations. And whereas, after due consideration, the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, HICPC, has approved by resolution HICPC R21-010, a master street plan, and whereas it is the desire of the city council that said master street plan be formally approved by ordinance, thus establishing the City of Holiday Island Master Street Plan. Now therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas, Section 1, that the map entitled Holiday Island Road and Street Map, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, and the description thereof which follows, be and hereby approved and adopted. The city recorder treasurer shall maintain 2 signed copies and a digital image for public inspection. Section 2, the master street plan designates the following. A, located all within the municipal limits of Holiday Island, Carroll County, Arkansas, and more particularly described as follows. B, definition of road or street. For the purpose of this resolution, ordinance, and attached map, the word street or road shall mean all roadways, public and private, open for general public travel. Access drives to apartment and commercial complexes shall not be considered as private streets. C, official map. The Holiday Island Road and Street Map shall identify all named road and street names and their relative locations. Designations of main primary routes shall be identified. D, street or road names on preliminary plat. Street or road name shall be shown on the preliminary plat of any large-scale development or planned unit development. The street names shown on the final plat shall be consistent with those shown on the primary plat. Updated. The official road and street map shall be updated by the HICPC and recommended for city council adoption upon final plat approval of any plat, large-scale development, or planned unit development. Characteristics. Roads, hard surface with chip and seal or asphalt, shall be of a thickness deemed necessary for the characteristics of the substrate and of width suited to road base width as originally constructed. Concrete paving of streets shall include curbs. No roads or streets shall have a driving surface of less than 18 feet. G, function use. Roads and streets shall be open for general public travel. Long-term or regularly frequent parking of vehicles, trailers, equipment, or materials on the roads and streets is prohibited. Section 3, severability. The provisions of this ordinance are hereby declared severable, and if any section, phrase, or provision shall be declared or held invalid, such invalidity shall not affect the remainder of the sections, phrases, or provisions. Section 4, emergency clause. The need to make use of the provisions of ACA 1456-401 of the Arkansas Code of 1987 annotated as amended to adopt a City of Holiday Island Master Street Plan in order to adopt and enforce plans for the coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the City of Holiday Island and its environs and the activities associated with urban planning is immediate and an emergency is hereby declared to exist. And this ordinance shall be enforced in effect from and after the date of its passage. Passed and approved by the City Council of Holiday Island, Arkansas, on this 19th day of October 2021.
Okay, and for the record, the map is attached to the ordinance. Do I have a motion to approve the ordinance 2021-011?
So moved.
Lynn made a motion. Jerry seconded it. Any discussion? Discussion from the public?
Any discussion on the ordinance 2021-11 about street map? Let me make sure. I don't see any chat on it.
Okay,
I don't see any hands raised. Okay.
having no discussion, roll call vote.
Councilmember Dumas.
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
All right, the ordinance passes. Here's the signed copy.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we did have a comment that was made while we were reading the ordinance about the ward ordinance. And it was Ms. Sherman, and she wanted to know when will the decision be made for how one votes, I guess, with regards to the wards. And I responded on chat to her that it would come up in a future meeting as a resolution or ordinance. Is that what you would agree?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the total context of her question, but we will be considering an ordinance establishing position 1 and position 2 of the council members and things like that. As far as being notified as to what ward you're in for the election and where the voting precinct is going to be, that will be done by the election commission.
But we also have to decide which positions would be voted by warden, which would be voted at large, right?
Right. Right.
Okay,
And we need to have discussion on that.
so that's further
So the
clarification.
default is you select by word and vote
At large.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't read the,
I have it all here for later.
yeah. All right, okay, that was 11. I don't know that there's a default, there's just options.
Yeah. We can talk about it later.
All right, next on the agenda for consideration is ordinance 2021-012, declaring an emergency and adopting a land use plan. I would entertain a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings of the ordinance and adopt the emergency clause.
So moved.
Lynn made the motion. Pat seconded it. Well, any discussion? Roll call
Councilmember Dumas.
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
aye,
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman. All in favor, Mr. Mayor.
vote. Okay. Before we move any further. Okay, never mind. All right, you want to read the ordinance?
Sure. We're gonna do. Okay. Ordinance 2021-012. An ordinance establishing the City of Holiday Island land use plan and declaring an emergency. Whereas Arkansas Municipal Planning Statute, ACA 1456-401, how do you pronounce that?
It's et sec, and it's
Et
Latin for and following.
Okay, and following, okay. Require that planning commissions prepare a planning area map and description designating the area within the city's territorial jurisdiction for which they will make studies and prepare plans and recommend ordinances and regulations. And whereas after due consideration, the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, HICPC, has approved by resolution HICPC R21-011 a land use plan, and whereas it is the desire of the city council that said land use plan be formally approved by ordinance, thus establishing the City of Holiday Island land use plan. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas, that the plan entitled City of Holiday Island Land Use Plan be hereby approved and adopted. The city recorder treasurer shall maintain 2 signed copies and a digital image for public inspection. We have further ordained that due to the requirement that the city have a zoning ordinance, which will follow after the land use plan in place by 12/1/2021, in order to assume responsibility for issuing building permits, the need to adopt this land use plan is immediate, and an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced and effect immediately upon passage. Passed and approved by the City Council of Holiday Island on this 19th day of October 2021.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept ordinance 2021-012?
Point of order, does the plan need to be read into the record? Page 2, page 3.
Okay, I don't know that it needs to be, but
Okay.
we can. You want it read into the record?
I don't require it.
Okay. Does anybody feel it needs to be read? Okay. It'll be posted on the website, anybody that wants to read it.
It's already on there.
All right, we have a motion. Who made the motion?
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second.
ordinance- Wait,
Lynn moved to approve ordinance 2021-012. Linda seconded it. Any discussion? Any discussion from the,
Any discussion from anybody on Zoom? I don't see no hands
hearing none,
and
unless you can call a roll?
no chat.
Okay. Councilmember Dumas,
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood,
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, ordinance 2021-012 is approved. I have one copy here signed. The ordinance says we have to have two copies, so if you have a copy, I can.
Well, I do, I didn't have the date.
I just wrote the date in.
Okay.
And the plan also has a space for the date. And the plan has a space for your signature as well. Last page.
I feel like when I'm all done with this, I need to give the ceremonial pen to Lynn.
Well, you should have 11 pens there, and sign one letter with each pen.
Okay. That should take care of that. All right, moving on. Next on the agenda is consideration of ordinance 2021-014, establishing a police department and authorizing a contract.
What happened to
13, sir.
Oh, I scratched out the wrong one. Ordinance 2021-013, declaring an emergency and adopting a temporary zoning ordinance. Let's see, yes, it has emergency clause, so do I have a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings and adopt the emergency clause for this ordinance?
So moved.
But Lynn
Second.
moved,
I'll second.
Ken seconded it. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Dumas.
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood.
Aye.
Councilmember Graves.
Aye.
Councilmember Mills.
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, you want to go ahead and read the ordinance?
Sure. Ordinance number 2021-013. An ordinance declaring an emergency and establishing temporary zoning requirements for the city of Holiday Island, Arkansas. Whereas zoning requirements for residential and commercial construction are necessary for the orderly development of a community, and whereas the Holiday Island Planning Commission, established by the developer and currently responsible for issuing building permits, will cease to provide that service as of December 3, 2021, and whereas the Holiday Island City Planning Commission, HICPC, is currently developing a land use plan that will establish a basis for zoning, and whereas the aforementioned land use plan cannot be completed by December 3, 2021, when the city must assume responsibility for issuing building permits. And whereas the current Holiday Island Planning Commission enforces the zoning restrictions embedded in the unit declaration of reservations when issuing building permits. Now, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Holiday Island, Arkansas, that the City of Holiday Island will adopt on an interim basis the zoning restrictions found in the unit declaration of reservations for all units in Holiday Island. And be it further ordained that construction in any unit, parcel, or property within the area indicated on the Holiday Island Planning Area Map that is not currently restricted by declaration of reservations will be reviewed by HICPC for its suitability and compatibility with adjacent units. Be it further ordained that the need to establish zoning requirements in order to begin issuing building permits is immediate and an emergency is hereby declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be enforced and effective immediately upon passage. Passed and approved by the City Council of Holiday Island on this date of 19th of December 2021. October. What did I say? December? Excuse me. October.
All right, I need to make a slight correction to to this ordinance. Since it was drafted, I've had a discussion with Mickey Finefield, and the December 3rd date is not a date certain as far as the Planning Commission is concerned. So,
So how about changing the by to as soon as?
in that particular paragraph, I think if we just scratch the December 3rd, just scratch the 3rd and leave it as December,
Gotcha.
and just not be date certain. It will be sometime. And then in the second time a date is mentioned, I think it's okay to leave December 3rd in there because we want to be ready by then, you know, so we're ready.
So up in the second whereas, we're gonna
Strike
scratch the
3rd,
3rd.
so that it'll read, will cease to provide that service as of December 2021.
Do we have any sense of when, I mean, how long that might be past December 3rd? Could it be before then?
It won't be before then, and I guess I'm not really in a position to speculate or offer any opinion as to, or any real information as to what they're working on. But Mickey said they're working with their attorney. They are incorporated, and so there's a process that they have to go through to dissolve. They're working on that. The city assuming responsibility for issuing building permits is not conditional on that planning commission going away.
Okay.
I mean, they can continue to exist forever. We just need to have a handoff of the responsibility, which I'm sure will still happen in December. So with that correction, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-013?
Make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 2021-013.
With that one
That was the
correction.
change,
Ken made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Lynn seconded it. Any discussion? Any discussion from the public?
Anyone on Zoom want to chime in? I don't have any chat. And let me make sure if I have no hands raised.
Okay. I'll call for the roll call
Councilmember Dumas,
Aye.
Councilmember Elwood,
Aye.
Councilmember Graves,
Aye.
Councilmember Mills,
Aye.
Councilmember Pittman.
Aye.
All in favor, Mr. Mayor?
vote. Okay. Does your version actually have the date in it?
No, it's got X's.
Okay, we'll have to
Just,
put the actual date in and sign that later.
Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda is ordinance 2021-014. An ordinance establishing a police department and authorizing a contract with the sheriff. Let's see. It doesn't have an emergency clause, so. See, this is over.
January was approved.
January, that would be.
Third
I may
Tuesday.
have to withdraw this and resubmit it next month with an emergency clause. Because we would have to have the contract by the end of the year to be effective January 1st. So
We couldn't,
I'm gonna
we couldn't amend it.
Yeah, I say, can we amend it right here? We can copy the language, well,
Yeah, to explain the.
we can do it in the November meeting with an emergency clause. It'll be effective immediately.
okay.
That still gives us all of December to
And more information may come to light that you want to make more revisions to this.
Right.
Okay.
So do you still call it establishing a police department even though it's just a contract with the sheriff?
Yeah, and actually, Justin drafted this for us.
Okay.
We have to have a police department in order to have district court. And it's the way the law was written. The law says that if you have a police department and you don't have a district court, you can enter into an agreement with another jurisdiction. And I guess when they wrote the law, they just assumed that everybody would have a police department. And so Justin said that if we establish a police department, but don't appropriate staff in it and contract with the county to provide police protection, under our police department, then that would meet the intent of the law.
So are you the acting chief of police?
I don't know that we need one. We'll have a contract.
We don't have to have any facility or anything like that, do we?
No,
Okay.
a contract with the sheriff is quite adequate. So I'll resubmit that with the emergency clause next month.
So that has to be in effect by 1 January.
Yes. And just a side note on that, Justin is drafting the interlocal agreement for us to take to Eureka Springs to work out the details on the district court. So we'll probably be reviewing that in the November meeting. All right, that's all of the ordinances. Building code, I put this on the agenda for discussion only. I really don't intend to go through this other than to let everybody know that I'm still working on it. I gave a copy of this to Mickey Finefield because he's been issuing building permits forever here in Holiday Island and knows, more about the requirements and everything. Building codes, if you look at different cities, some building codes are very short and sweet. Some, pretty much cut and paste everything that's in the Arkansas Fire Protection Code. They cut and paste it into their own municipal code, which is redundant and maybe even dangerous if you're not updating your code when the state updates theirs. So Mickey, I talked to Mickey just the other day, and he said he has said it looked pretty good, but he's made several markups and has several suggestions. So he and I will be getting together here in the near future, and we really don't need to do this, like this month. But by the time we start issuing building permits, we'll have to have something to inspect.
Does your proposal have sections in it where we adopt the National Electric Code, the plumbing codes and all that? Okay, good. In name only, so we don't.
I gave everybody a copy. I sent out a copy.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I haven't spent a lot of time reading it.
Yeah. Well, it's not that lengthy because mostly what I do is adopt the National Electric Code, the National Plumbing Code, National Gas Code, Arkansas Fire Protection Code, which is a very, very comprehensive building code. It gets into everything, and it references the International Building Code. So if you're just referencing all those codes, you're pretty much covered. The things that are specific to our, there are some things that are specific to our situation here. The Arkansas, or the general building codes don't require that you put rebar in driveway concrete. We do here, or historically, Holiday Island has tried to enforce that, and that you put the rebar up on stanchions or whatever you call them, stands, to make sure that it's actually in the concrete and not just laying on the ground under the concrete and stuff like that. We do that because of the instability of the concrete here, or of the substrate. You don't put in rebar, after a couple of years, your driveway will just be full of cracks.
I've already been there.
Yeah. And I don't put much reference in here to footings because I really didn't find very much reference in any of the building codes to footing standards and footing inspections and stuff. But Mickey has it, so we'll be adding that to this.
I think that's one of the common failures here at Holiday Island, is on the foundations.
Yeah.
Where we are.
The foundations, the footings and the driveways have to be put in right, or your house isn't gonna.
It's gonna be going down the hill.
You have a section that refers to HICID for the water and sewer connections, okay?
Yeah.
No, I didn't read those because you said you were still in the process of developing them.
Yeah, other than Mickey's markups, I'm pretty well done with it.
Let us know when you're done and then I'll read it.
I have a question, and maybe it's because of my general unfamiliarity with building anything at all, or construction or anything like that. I have had contractors out to my house to do various small projects, inside and outside. How does a person know when they need a permit? I didn't find it very clear.
Good question.
I think that's the number one question people have, and it's the number one issue with enforcement,
Yeah.
is people don't know when they need to have a permit, especially, I mean, if you're just repairing or adding on or, you know, revitalizing or whatever,
Did that
rehabbing.
contractor tell you you needed one?
No, but a lot of contractors would rather not fool with it.
Well, I know, that's the.
You never know who you're dealing with
With that
either.
said, I have had people call me already and ask me if they needed a building permit for this or a building permit for that, and I give them Nikki's number.
Yeah, you say, I don't know.
So it is a very good point, and I will make a note here.
If that could be spelled out just a little bit clearer,
Sure.
I think it would be good.
In simple terms, like
In
you're changing the perimeter of the
Layman
home,
terms.
you're changing anything attached to the outside of the home, which would affect its perimeter. Then you have to decide if you're going to mess around, if I'm gonna change a faucet, is that the same
Ah,
thing as
good point.
adding a new plumbing
Yeah,
line?
and I did read some building codes did have some definition like that. If it's plumbing repair, you don't need a building code or a building permit. Even if you're doing minor remodeling like drywall repair or something like that, you don't need to. But if you're doing anything structurally, internally or externally, you need a permit and stuff like that. So it is a good point.
And
There
another,
needs to be some
and my
clarity.
second question of a general nature is, are we going to require that people doing work out here, plumbers, electricians, contractors, building contractors, whatever, be licensed or permitted by the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will that be in here
It
somewhere?
should be in here. I think that is in here, but you don't remember
I
reading
don't
it in
remember
there?
reading it, but
I think
I could have missed it.
it's either in here or it's in the zoning ordinance, one or the other, because they do require that now, that they be.
Which would help protect people out here if they, in order to get a permit, they would have to use a licensed permitted person, I guess. Or have them go through the process of getting a license from us where their credentials could be checked or something. Is that it?
Yeah, I thought that it said in here, but it may be from a different, some other city.
And I could have missed it. I'm not saying I read it
But they need to have, all the
thoroughly.
contractors have to have their license on file with the city.
Okay.
Can we as a city mandate that those licensed contractors be insured to protect
Oh, good
from
question.
liability?
Good question. Bonded and
In my former
insured.
employment, all our contractors had to be insured, so if they fell, they had their coverage, they didn't sue us for their medical.
Yeah, I don't believe that the city gets into that.
Okay,
I don't remember reading, contractors being bonded anywhere. You know, I think that's between
the homeowner.
the customer, you know, and the contractor.
How do you check that?
You ask for a copy of their insurance plan.
Insurance, okay.
It shows they have a certain amount of liability coverage for their employees.
So,
And
good
then you call the
question.
insurer.
Mickey may have already caught that, but maybe something that he was gonna go over with me. So anyway, we should, by next week or next month's meeting, that should be ready to vote on. And then the health and sanitation code is a lot thicker,
A lot longer.
and, you know, there may be things in here that, and believe me, I'm soliciting input from everybody. There may be things in here that we don't wanna tackle right off the bat. You know, we don't have to eat the whole elephant in one sitting, you know, we can piecemeal this.
There
in.
are quite a few people out here that have opposition to the trash collection
Mhm.
stuff, you know that.
Yes.
I was wondering whether there's any opportunity to allow 2 vendors at least, instead of just a single vendor.
I don't think anybody does that.
Yeah, I would like to say no, but I think it's open for discussion.
Good.
And, you know, you can solicit input and you know, we can talk about it. I have to sit down with the Carroll County Solid Waste District and understand how comprehensive the services that they provide. Because I think that there's some things that the city is going to need and want that the other carriers don't provide. Things like recycling and tires, old tires. They have, you know, Carroll County Solid Waste has got a tire collection site. I think, but I'm not positive, that if somebody dumps a pickup truck load of trash at the end of one of our cul-de-sacs, I believe that Carroll County comes out and cleans that up at no cost to the city.
And if they toss it over the side of Thunderbird Drive?
They may be a little bit hard to convince to do that, but I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that Carroll County has already come out here and cleaned up some dump sites for us. And so if they're gonna provide that service, then I think they're entitled to the customer base. So.
Well, I mean, mentioning about the other providers, some of them that I've seen, I don't think they have the capability to do recycling. And, you know, at least we've got the new
Well, I
bottles and
know
cans.
probably the smallest one, Ace, takes recycling that anybody gives them to Carroll County Solid Waste.
I think it would be well, when after you talk to the director over there, try and schedule him to come to one of our meetings and give us a briefing on the services.
We could probably do that at the next meeting.
Probably a schedule of their costs.
Yeah, I think we'd like to see a draft cost schedule.
Were you gonna do that? Were you gonna make a spreadsheet comparing the costs of the different
I could
carriers?
do that, I haven't, no, I didn't know I was going to.
But we should negotiate a price with them, shouldn't we?
We could.
I mean,
Yes, we
because
could.
that would be the thing to do, not just take their pamphlet price, but negotiate a price if they're gonna get all the business out here.
Every city out here, every city in Carroll County has got a different plan. with
Yeah.
Carroll County Solid Waste.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to be fair of opening it up to these smaller providers, have each one of them present a proposal of what they can provide and at what cost.
Well, I think we need to have a list of what we need, and then they put a price tag on it.
Yeah.
I think it would be better to have them come out and tell us what they're providing.
I'm gonna tell you right now that I'm not very much in favor of anybody other than Carroll County Solid Waste.
I'm not either, but.
And the reason why is because, you know, the district, you know, the Suburban Improvement District had no legal responsibility for solid waste disposal. The city does. The city is responsible for whoever handles our waste to dispose of it in compliance with all state and federal environmental codes.
Which is precisely why we need to interview them.
And we don't have the resources to have 4 different carriers in here and follow their trucks to whatever they're doing with it and know that it's being disposed of properly.
Well, you also have to have
Carroll
a,
County, we have the assurance that, you know, that comes with them being a solid waste authority licensed by the state.
The other thing you gotta take into consideration is every other city in Carroll County uses them. And they have an agreement, and I don't,
Wouldn't we put out a request for proposal and tell them what is going to be required? And then
You can do that.
see what sort of response we get?
Do you know somebody that in this room that's qualified to put together a proposal on something that involves, pollution control and ecology? I'm not gonna do it.
I think if we,
You'd have to hire a consultant or somebody
I
to
think
do it, in my opinion.
if we have them come in and have them tell us what services they provide, and then we can make a spreadsheet and send that out and see where the other ones fall in if you want to go that far. And ask for, and that would be a kind of proposal.
Ask for a in-person proposal.
The first requirement, primary, is are they a certified, or whatever the right word is, waste disposal facility?
No.
And if they say no, then they're disqualified.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Will they give us a whole harmless agreement?
Environmental.
We can't be held harmless. We are responsible.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I would like to have Carroll County
It's several,
tell us
even worse.
what, and if you don't want to get into prices at that time, that's fine. The service that they provide.
I think the services is first and the cost is second too.
I think being in compliance with the law.
Yeah, well,
is
they would
first.
have to convince us that they were. I know there's also the issue, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. I know there's also the issue, and I read it in this Title V, that we need to control knowing that everybody is paying for a service, the same kind of service. And that's a control point, and it's made more difficult if you have more than one carrier. I certainly understand that.
And,
You also have the issue of these great, big, heavy trucks that tore up our roads.
well, that's an incentive for us to only have one carrier, is that it,
The only thing that I saw in your plan that I didn't see anything about the commercial dumpsters, whether that would going to include that in there.
the roll-off boxes. Because I mean, they have the big regular dumpsters.
Well, there's dumpsters and then there's roll-out ones that they're using in construction sites, which I don't think we want to get into. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, I think that's a totally separate business, isn't
I
it?
think it's a separate business.
Yeah. Did they take that?
I don't know, and again, we could find out if we had Carroll County come in and they tell us what they do.
Well, I'm all for Carroll County, but I just think that we need to listen to these other people just out of a sense of fairness.
I do too. I mean,
Maybe we did a workshop.
we could
have
put
them come in.
one or more of them out of business by going with Carroll County. Seriously.
Could be, but if, they're gonna have to have a real good argument. If I'm the one going to jail because they created a Superfund site,
Well, then we should be able to listen to them to
Yeah,
have
what
them
if
tell us.
what if I'm,
the thing is, I am not a environmental engineer. They could come in here and tell me that, you know, the moon is made of cream cheese, and I'd have to believe them. I don't
You
know.
don't have to believe them, you just need to listen to them.
You know?
so if vendor C says, I take my waste, your waste, to Carroll County Waste District to dispose of, and the reason I'm cheaper is because my overhead's lower.
You come and pick up the metal and, you know, the stuff you put out on.
I'll pick up everything.
And if you have a big item, just call me. I'll be at your house.
And I take it to Carroll County Waste, and they dispose of it properly. And I'm cheaper because my overhead's lower.
I may just be a mom and pop, but I'm trying to do a good job. And I don't have a big truck that tears up the roads either.
However, several of them do.
Several of them do, you're right. But I'm with Jerry. I just think we ought to listen to all who
Well, I
wants
mean,
to apply.
It won't change the vote, but I think in fairness,
I said, if we get a list of what they do and we narrow it down, and we can put out a request for proposals and say, do we furnish this kind of service?
Mhm.
Do you do these things? What's your price?
We have a comment from the Zoom. Can I read it? Ms. Sherman says, suggestion, take a look and gather data as to the recycle center that the city of Rogers put together and the benefits the city financially. It is one carrier only. Is it one carrier only? Going to their city recycle center.
Well, there was an article in the paper in the last couple of weeks about a city selecting the carrier and some of the reasons why they went with them.
Was that Dim Gazette or
Pardon?
was it Dim Gazette?
It was in the Gazette. I don't know if it was Rogers, it might have been, I don't remember,
Oh, we could find that article and
but, you
pull it
know,
out.
But I mean, that's, we don't have to eat this one yet until next year.
Yeah, I mean,
That's true.
I can take it out for now and just say reserved
Yeah.
until we make a decision.
Actually, that'd probably be the best solution temporarily till we get some of these other things under
We need to
control.
get- We need to get through the building permits.
It's not that high a priority. I agree.
District court, we got a full load between now and. Just out of curiosity, do you happen to know, I know they can't hold us harmless because it's against federal law, but our city's named as additional insureds on Carroll County general liability policy? I mean, they can't hold us harmless, but they can certainly
Cover the bill.
cover the bill, which is all we need. I don't know, if it's a big enough account, I would think they could. Yeah, because these things are, if you know, if you've handled a super fun site claim like I have, they are unbelievably expensive.
Yeah, and
I mean, would exceed our budget for the rest of our lives.
the county, Carroll County has already been involved in one fiasco with that landfill that went broke and they tried to, the bondholders tried to get $18 a year out of every property owner until the court struck
Well,
that
that
down.
didn't Bella Vista have a big
And they have
toxic
fire.
waste site of some
Well,
Set
that
sort?
fire.
was their stump dump.
Stump dump, yeah, that was
That
it.
That was just an underground fire.
The chicken.
now, one question that I had is somewhat unrelated to this, but is maybe related to, is the spring cleanup day. Now, that's a district and
That's high.
Carroll County, right?
Carroll County.
Oh, great.
I think it's just Carroll County Solid Waste. It's just something they do, I
So
think.
is that gonna change? Are we gonna be involved in that? Is that the district?
It's only for
do
their
that?
customers.
That's it, they would do that on a
That's,
regular
yeah,
basis,
that's just,
twice a year.
I don't think the district has anything to do with that.
It's just their
That's
customers.
a service they provide to their customers.
That's why I want them to come in.
So the district doesn't
I think we
contribute
need
to
to-
that?
I think we need to invite them over sometime.
Okay.
Tell us, give us a slideshow, and tell us what the hell they do. And just give us an estimate on what their price would be. I know if you have, what they call it, mandatory, or, single, their rate goes down from what it is now.
If they get everybody,
The one thing that, I think that one area where we're a little unique from the other cities in the county is that we have a lot of part-timers here or weekenders
Yep.
here that,
you gotta
you know,
provide
we
something
want
for 'em.
to- Yeah, we want to have some opportunity for them to have per bag, maybe buy orange bags from Carroll County.
I know, I've got two neighbors that, they spend maybe a weekend every other month. They certainly don't want to spend the same amount that I do for trash pickup.
Right.
They just put it in one bag, put it in the trunk of their car, and take it back to Kansas City.
I think there are quite a few people that bag their trash and take it to the place in Berryville.
Yeah, we had that too, but you can't make exceptions to that kind of stuff.
I know.
You gotta
I
have a
understand.
little- Maybe you can make some kind of accommodation.
But for part-timers, we're a lot of part-timers here,
There's a
so.
lot, yeah. I have a friend of mine that hasn't been in his place in almost a year and a half. Yeah, for him to, you know.
Which is gonna be tricky.
It's not an easy road.
That's gonna be tricky to
We
figure
did-
out who's
I don't
part-time and
remember
who's not.
I don't know which one of the places we lived, but we lived someplace one time where it was the city, but you bought bags from the city, you bought trash bags from the city. They were a specific color. and
Doesn't Eureka do that? I think you do that
you know,
with
there was
Eureka.
so much bag, and you could, you know, put out one bag a week or one bag a year, they didn't care. As
Just
long as,
how many bags you had.
you know, as long as you're buying the bags from them, but you put something out in a different color bag, they'll walk right past it.
The only problem with any of these things that you're talking about is there are people who will figure out how to beat it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they will not have trash service.
That could be a bit of a problem.
If we get 98%, we're doing good. No city probably is doing any better than
I
that.
had 2 or 3 meetings where, I had a group of people that were bagging it, taking it there, and they didn't want that.
Well, I know this isn't gonna be popular, this might be the first truly controversial thing we do, and after that, you know, everybody will hate me, but,
I think
uh,
you can put it off till first quarter.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I'll just show them pictures of the
Well,
crap that's dumped around Holiday Island right now.
It's all kinds of things, trash.
And with these Airbnb things, we got, a lot of these people that didn't want to sign up before because, they're not here all the time, but they're doing the Airbnb, you better have it ready to pick up, because you're gonna have a mess.
Is there any other, we got all the way to page 1. Is there anything else in here that, gives people cause for concern at this point? There's a section in here on tree trimming that I was going to put off too, until, I got 2 complaints very recently about, tree trimmers, or brush trimmers, or whatever you wanna call them. 2 men in a pickup truck and trailer, clearing brush out of, in one case, it was a house on the state line that's for sale now, and they trimmed all the brush and just threw it across the road downhill
Oh, yes.
in the lot next to the lot that the Holiday Island Baptist Church is trying to sell. And so they came to me wanting me to do something about getting that, those tree trimmings hauled out of there. Now, we have no authority to, and as of right now, it's on private property. That's a lot that somebody owns, so he may have given them permission to dump the stuff out there.
What about, like we had the ice storm and several trees came over and tree limbs and debris? Is there anything in the plan for that?
That would be a nice,
How are you supposed to dispose of tree trimmings, branches and what have you?
Yeah,
Is there a way?
Does chipping of branches and stuff.
I called Kenny and asked him to come up and pick it, throw it to his plant.
All
That's
it's
a small
all right.
stuff.
I mean, that will be an issue.
You haul it to Eureka Springs to their recycle pad.
Well, if it's relatively small, I said doesn't charge for that. Just come out and do it.
well, you just get it.
Not if it's down the hill in the back of my house, they won't get it.
No, but I mean,
afford that.
We're waiting on your house.
Eureka will take it, I called the city office.
They'll go to the back of my house, go down the hill and retrieve all those
No,
huge
you gotta
branches
haul
that
it
have been
in.
cut off.
You've gotta haul it in there, you haul it in.
Well, you're part of the problem.
I guess I am.
Well, even I have to go back and read how I left this, but I can tell you from a city perspective, we want to discourage, if not prohibit, people from, dumping grass clippings, leaves, tree branches, anything in the woods. And, people that live along the golf course, every fall, you'll see them dragging their leaves across the fairway and dumping them in the woods. And if they get a branch, the wind blows a branch out of their tree, they'll drag it across the fairway and throw it in the woods. And, if your lot backs up to the woods, you're gonna be doing the same thing. We are creating an enormous fire load here in Holiday Island. And if we ever have a fire, out in the woods, it's going to be a mess. And that's why I'd say we need to discourage that. But like you said, if you're going to discourage it or flat out prohibit it, you have to give people an alternative.
Yeah, that's exactly it. My point entirely.
So, what about open burning? Is that in your document about open burning?
Only if it's an approved incinerator.
That's gonna be
Oh,
an issue in my neighborhood, I can tell you.
well,
Because all the other people that don't put them out on the street, they put them in their ditch.
Yeah, burn in the ditch.
Oh,
I've got 3/4 of an acre I burn on with the fire department's permission.
I was told if I wanted to get rid of some tree limbs in the lot across the street from my house where they took down some trees, the fire chief, Bob Clave at the time, told me, he says, well, just have them burn it in the middle of the lot.
Yeah.
So I don't, and I didn't feel good about it either, so we didn't do it.
Anyway,
So
A lot of good questions, mark up, send me your comments, read it and send me your comments and your concerns, because
remember,
I don't want to be solely responsible for developing these ordinances and overlooking a lot of things.
When I have a free week, I'll go through it in
I am
detail.
open to all kinds of suggestions.
I'm open to all kinds of suggestions in zoning as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
So, that one you sent out 2 or 3 weeks ago, you want to send out a new one, or you updated it? You've been working on it, I know.
No, though, I think the one you have is the latest on Title V.
I've had it for a couple of weeks now, so,
Okay, next, I'm gonna pull the next item off the agenda too. I'm not
No.
prepared to talk about that. I did send out the draft of a position description. Lynn sent me at least a couple of suggestions, but, I have a lot more to consider based on,
so you don't want any comment on that at all? You don't want any comment about that at all?
we can talk about
Well,
it.
I just, the only observation I had, I should have responded, but I thought we set the bar pretty low on qualifications of high school or GED, based on what it said they would be responsible for, knowing all the building codes, et cetera, et cetera.
How about some experience in the building industries or trades or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that? I mean, maybe not a college degree, but trade experience.
No, but,
I don't think there's a trade school for code enforcement or anything.
Well, you might have been a plumber, you might have been an electrician, you might have been in construction.
yeah, I think that we need to set the bar a little higher.
Then you're setting the money higher.
Well,
And, the GED, or high school diploma or GED is basically what I got from, unless you get into a city like Little Rock or Fayetteville or something like that, where they have actual engineers doing it. Most of the small towns around here just have somebody with experience.
Somebody's got to have sense and go around and look and see if something don't look right.
Yeah. So,
basically, that's what you're doing.
I don't, we don't want to send somebody around that just doesn't know anything, and wouldn't find a problem if they hit them in the face. But by the same token, the highest paid code enforcement officer that I saw in the wage survey that we got from the municipal league was actually Eureka Springs, and it was like 54,000. And so you're not going to be hiring an engineer or anything for $50,000.
He's not doing a very good job. Isn't that right, Linda? The code enforcer in Eureka Springs, I think there's some.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but.
I don't know who it is, I'm just going by some of the places.
Oh, I don't know who it is either. I don't know who it is either. I guess you're saying we would interview him and pick a good candidate, as good a candidate as we could find.
Yeah.
I don't think we would interview him, the mayor would interview him.
I'm not doing this all by myself.
Okay.
I would say that maybe we would ask the people that have been doing this for several years to, Mickey Feinfield is an excellent resource if he would help us interview the building inspector. He's an architect. He is a legitimate architect, and I think he'd help us out finding the right candidate.
I think you need in this job description, well, you say conduct inspections, make recommendations. So this guy has to be able to conduct some kind of an inspection and determine whether it's a health or safety hazard, right?
If it violates one of our ordinances.
If it violates our ordinance, exactly. And
Well, if they didn't know much about electric stuff or plumbing, how would they know?
yeah, I mean,
how would they know a code violation, electrical code violation, if they don't have some knowledge of that?
I anticipate it's going to be the same person because, it doesn't have to be, but it's not two full-time jobs. We don't have a full-time code enforcement. We don't have a full-time job for a building inspector. So if there's some way of combining it, we can.
Why don't you just add to this job description thorough knowledge of building codes, electric, plumbing, etc., if that's what they're going to be looking for?
I'll give it some thought. I have a lot more input from the code enforcement officer than I do building inspector. But I think there's only one licensed building inspector in Carroll County, and that's Green Forest. So I think what you need, comes into conflict with what you can afford.
So why do you have to use there's only federal loans recognize a licensed building inspector? Is that the deal for occupancy permits?
The HUD loans and stuff like that, federally guaranteed loans, require an occupancy permit. And occupancy permits, in my opinion, should be issued by a licensed inspector.
Is that a state law?
I don't know.
So are we planning on paying a building inspector or getting one?
It's
Or
only come up one time in my involvement in any of
I remember a case not a few months ago where someone insisted they had to have an occupancy permit out here for a new house that was built, and we had to go find them the Green Forest guy, right?
Yeah, that was, probably over a year ago,
But that was because their loan,
because of their loan, they couldn't close on the loan because they didn't have an occupancy permit. And the guy from Green Forest, I think maybe, who called him? It might have been, I know, David Orr was on the VOC at the time, and the question filtered through the VOC, how do we help this person? And so David Orr had the guy from Green Forest come over. And
so
we could probably still do that.
who is the issuing authority for occupancy permits out here? I mean, we're not issuing them, I guess, right? We made one up for this purpose, for this one instance?
I would assume that he used the Green Forest, whatever form he had from Green Forest,
And wrote
issue.
Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District or something on it.
Well, I would be concerned, does the city have responsibility if we approve shoddy work, we issue permits and allow shoddy work to be done, and then a fire starts and somebody's killed or something?
I don't have a direct answer to that, but I know that the current planning commission does not issue occupancy permits because they don't have the liability insurance to back it up in case something.
Well, that's a good Muni League question then, isn't it?
It's probably under municipal immunity stuff.
But we'd need to find out.
They'll know the answer.
Yeah.
I'll have to read this, and there may be, I'll have to go back and read the building code again and see if there isn't some disclaimer in there that says that the inspection does not relieve the property owner from the responsibility of making sure that the work is done correctly, or some kind of legal, legalese that says that just because
CYA.
just because the city signed off on this house doesn't mean that we're accepting any liability for the work that was done.
Well, I just know that, say, when we built our house, we were living 500 miles away. And we'd come every 2 months to see what was going on. And we felt we had some confidence that we knew at the time the district had a building inspector that was watching what was going on. In fact, when we'd be here every couple months, he probably came around and we'd see him.
Well, they did, there's 2 or 3 different building inspectors, since I've been here. Currently they don't have them.
But they may or may not have been licensed, I would bet, huh?
I don't know.
That's why you use licensed contractors, is that, that way you know that they're,
All right,
supposed to be doing things to code. But I made a note to follow up on that point too, to see what kind of liability is involved if we issue an occupancy permit. Okay, more work to do on that, but like I said, I think the big issue is going to be affordability. Now, there is an option on building inspector. I don't know I don't know if there's anybody in the area that would qualify, but we could have our code enforcement officer issue building permits, have the inspection contracted out to a third party.
I mean, there are people that you can get that inspect your house. I mean, you can have a building inspection before you buy a house.
Yeah.
I did it
that's-
on my house.
That's,
That's
that
different.
home inspection is
Totally
totally
different?
different than this.
Okay,
But I-
Because here you have to do an inspection, the footings, before they put the foundation on the footings, gotta be inspected.
so as it's
Electrical,
built
before they
versus
close the walls,
after
you have to include.
someone's lived in it, you're talking.
Home inspection, yeah, they don't see how the house is put together.
Right.
Yeah,
They just check on, is it
what
functioning?
they find is the weather stripping is going out on your door. They generally don't find anything worthwhile.
My inspection was a 20-page
I
document.
don't know.
Mine was
Whew.
too.
I think the idea of trying to find somebody to contract that inspection out would be a very good way to go.
And then we build a fee
Then
structure
you
that covers it.
pass
so
on the
city
fee.
doesn't have a-
Yeah,
Because you're talking about two very distinct
Skill
professions
sets.
that are
I like that too.
not coming up with a word.
The trick is gonna be finding somebody that's qualified and not also doing that kind of work, because then it would possibly be a conflict of interest.
Right.
So they can't inspect their own work for sure.
But don't you think some of those home inspectors could do that?
Everything I do is good, everything you do is
Don't
shoddy.
Don't you think some of those good home inspectors could do that kind of work?
No.
They work on contract basis.
The type of people that do home inspection, I look for building inspector, information on the internet. There's nothing. There is absolutely nothing available on the internet that defines what a good building inspector does. There are pages and pages and pages and pages of, take my, 30-day course and be a home inspector. It's not even the same thing. It's totally different.
Okay, what if we talked to several cities and found out who they use?
Yeah.
And what kind of licensing or what kind of qualifications they're using?
Dan, somebody that might be helpful, and when I talked to the mayor of Key Ridge, and he's a very, very, very nice, very friendly, and very offered to help us in any way he could. And they've got about 4 or 5 new subdivisions going up in Key Ridge.
They must have a couple of building inspectors.
He might have something.
Yeah.
Good.
The other thing, from the contractor's perspective, whoever's gonna do these inspections needs to be available, because if they got a house wired and they're ready to start
Yeah.
closing up the walls, they can't wait 2 weeks for the inspector to get over here to do the inspection. So I'm somewhat sympathetic to that too. So, anyway, a lot of work to do on that yet in a short period of time. All right, public comments? Any comments from the public?
Chat's open. Don't see anything. Anybody have any public comments? It's on the line out here. Most of the people have left.
Give me my bit.
I left it. This is BJ. I left a comment on the chat.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I didn't see it.
Are there any university students studying to become building inspectors who may be graduating soon or in the near future?
I didn't understand that.
She says suggest college students that are maybe graduating in that field or something.
I don't think you go to school. I don't think there's a college. I think you might have to.
No college courses for that? Yeah. How does one become a building inspector except by taking the 30-minute course?
I think the best building inspectors are the retired contractors. that are
Yeah.
doing it.
General contractor.
doing it for years.
Yeah.
Know the code,
Yeah,
Yeah.
know the statutes.
they know what to look for. They know where the skeleton.
Well, it was a good thought, BJ.
Thank you.
All right, council member comments?
I have one. We've just established the 3 wards, and part of our responsibility then is to define how those city councilmen will be elected in the future. I've prepared a draft of an ordinance that we can consider in a future meeting, but wanted to get it out to you folks as soon as you could to be thinking about it and be prepared to make a choice. The statute 44-103 has 3 options in it, and they're detailed here in options 1, 2, and 3. So the final ordinance that we would adopt would take just one of those, and those would go away. So no discussion
Okay.
tonight, just wanted to pass it out.
Is that same one that tells what you said, somewhere in 2 years, 4 years?
It's in that same statute, yes. But to do it in other than 2 years, we have to pass an ordinance, and it has to be voted upon in a special election by the community to make it 4 years. So I don't think we'll be going down that road.
It'll be 2 years then.
Everybody's gonna be 2 years the first time around. They're the same thing.
I think 2 years is plenty.
Right now, I'm thinking it's too much.
So that's for your reading. I didn't send it out electronically.
Thank you
I
so
can if
much
you
for
want.
doing that.
You're welcome.
I read it a long time ago, but I can't.
Can you send it to me?
Sure, I'll send it out to everyone.
Well, I thought you gave.
I'll send you an electronic version in case you have a place to file it.
I quit filing that stuff since I know everything's on the.
Some of us blaming liberal and trying to save the planet.
Huh?
Some of us liberals are trying to save the planet.
And I'm taking your lead, Jerry. This is the first meeting that came to without my 4-inch notebook.
Okay.
Well, I was afraid it
So I'm
was.
wondering, are these 2 copies? Do those have to have original signatures?
Excuse me?
We're not
2
done.
copies on ordinances. They have to have original signatures.
You told me that you think you have to have 2 copies of all ordinances, so that's why I put it in there to make sure that we do.
Okay.
So there are 2 originals,
Don't be a copy to take to the county.
and then have all your stamps on it.
So we need,
No, you got off on,
So they're filing.
you got off on another agenda.
okay, so we need more copies.
Dang, let's go.
All right, next meeting, next regular meeting is,
Hang on. I think, Rebecca, do you have a comment?
No. No.
Your hand is raised. Do I need to read chat? Oh, Rebecca says, University of Arkansas has both architecture and engineering programs. Surely the professors have a clue on code inspectors. Follow up on BJ's comment.
The 3rd Tuesday in November is the 16th.
okay, November 16th is the next city council meeting. And we had previously scheduled a budget workshop on the 9th. All right, anything else? Any announcements?
Do we need a workshop on this stuff to get it ready to go by December?
Let me know if you think we do, but probably we might extend the budget workshop to include a couple other things. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Ken made the motion to adjourn, Jerry second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
I thought Matt said nay. No, I didn't. It's after 8 o'clock, I ain't saying nay.